Margaret and Bobber are now available in-game. In fact, there is a series of spending events available for Margaret that we've got to talk about. So stick around in this video for my thoughts on the new way they've released this commander and if it's worth it. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming. And I was kind of hyped to see Margaret show up in-game last night. And there are two events where she's now available, and this actually has some implications for the future of how commanders are released into the game. But first, let's talk about what's here. Margaret is available in an event that takes place over the course of 7 days. Now, my impression is that this event will land when you enter into Season of Conquest, but because she's just made it into game for the very first time, we're all getting this in every single kingdom. Now, the way that this event works is pretty straightforward. You're going to do a series of things that get you laudation items. You then use them to praise Margaret, which increases your level on this event. So you can see I have some number of those. I'll go and boost her up. I've unlocked some stuff, free to play up to level 5 so far. If I want more of these, I go defeat barbarians. I collect resources in my city, and I gather on the map. Now, I assume that you're running the boosts for gathering speed and production speed in your city all the time anyways. I don't need to tell you to do that. However, you do want to spend some amount of your passive AP hitting barbs rather than doing barb forts if you want to make sure that you get enough laudation to improve Margaret to the highest level. And there are a lot of sculptures that you can get if you spend 20 bucks. Now, I'll talk in just a moment about whether or not you should spend the 20 bucks, because this seems to be a sort of reuse of the 7K gem event, and we know that because if you go to the info section, it had some rules, at least last night, that talked about it like it was a 7K gem event. Offer the queen laudations for her victory to increase your reward level. You can use gems to unlock a second column of rewards. Right, so you can't. This is a recycling of an event, and they haven't cleaned up the text in here, which, like, okay, fine. So the thing you need to know, however, about unlocking Margaret for this $20 to get the higher amount of sculptures and rewards, and it's mostly sculptures, by the way, that's 10, then another 10 is 20, then another 10 is 30, then another 20. You can get 50 more sculptures for 20 bucks. For 20 bucks, in general, 50 sculptures of any commander is a damn good deal if you are spending. But is a ranged commander worth spending on? And if that was a question that we're already asking, imagine how perplexing it is to see a ton of Margaret sculptures in the recharge event. Now, this recharge event is different than any we've seen in the past. I've been playing this game for 4+ years. We've never seen a recharge event work kind of like this. And there's two things that are different. First of all, the rewards are an insane amount of sculptures. 45, 30, 30, and then 35. They actually front-loaded the majority of the sculptures, which is interesting, to day 2. Day 1 gives you no sculptures at all, but you do get some speed-ups. Now, the weirdness of this is that you have to recharge 7,300 gems per day. Whoa. Normally, we're talking 2,500 gems per day. A full recharge event runs you like 60 to 80 bucks in order to max out. But this event, if you want to max it out, is like $175 in order to get all the sculptures. Now, here's the weirdness of that. As far as commander sculptures go, without looking at what Margaret does, just in general, money for sculptures, this is still a really good deal compared to what it costs to expertise any other commander if you're just using money and you have to buy your way into universal legendary commander sculptures. There's not even really a good way to get this many sculptures really, really quickly, which leaves us with kind of an interesting question that even though this event is really expensive, is it worth it? And is Margaret worth it? And I've got one more interesting piece of trivia, I suppose you could say, one more trick that you need to know, which is that if you are going to spend over here, this event for Margaret Invictus, this $20 unlock, although it doesn't say so on the screen, it actually gives you gems. It gives you gems like you purchased any other $20 bundle. So if you're going to make this purchase over here, keep that in mind so you don't have either an overage or don't realize that you've already gotten some credit towards getting your recharge event. And I can show you exactly how many gems this is. I already made this purchase just to see on my restart account. I figured, I'll just pick it up there. Maybe I shouldn't be, and let's talk about that now. Should you be picking up ranged commanders? And this is such a head scratcher, and there's a number of reasons why this is weird. First of all, when you watch the big Imperium KVK going on right now with 365 and 1960, they aren't using ranged commanders really at all. Ranged combat is not even a part of the vocabulary for the way that KVK has been played. And so it makes me wonder, will the new commanders actually be the difference maker? Good enough that, like, yeah, now you're going to use ranged commanders? I don't know. But if I go over here to my purchases, where is it? Did I put it into favorites? There it is. 4,600 gems when I unlocked the second rewards column. So if you are going to buy the, $20 for the extra Margaret sculptures, well, you do get the 4,600 gems. Now, should you, though? It's such a weird question. How good are these ranged commanders? Is it actually worth it? I'm picking up, the Master's Tools Armaments bundle, but here's the problem with ranged commanders. First of all, if you're going to work on a ranged formation, how exactly are you going to get your ranged armaments? Are you going to travel for them? Or are you going to open up armament choice crates? Because if you open up armament choice crates, that means the only armaments that are good for you are siege armaments. That means if you get an infantry armament that's perfect, it's waste. If you get a cavalry armament, that's waste. If you get anything other than siege, triple stat, I guess all damage is good, then it's totally wasted, which is really not good. You've reduced your chances of getting a good armament significantly. In fact, by 1/3 compared to doing open field marches. Because if I work on wedge formation, I win if I get infantry, I win if I get archer, I win if I get cavalry. 3 ways to win, okay? And 1 big way to lose, which is full siege. Whereas if I work on opening up a siege crate from my armament choice chest, I have 3 ways to lose and only 1 way to win. The psychology of this is very, very painful to me, quite frankly. So, opening up your armament crates, given that most people are still working on their main armaments, is a weird one for siege. Okay, the other weirdness is that there's no good way to get rid of your siege once you train them. So in most big kingdoms, they'll tell you to delete your siege, or they'll tell you don't train tier 5 siege. So now, if you're going to run one of these ranged marches, you want tier 5 siege. You want lots of siege, which will inflate your power. So there's all these weirdnesses that still aren't solved. But despite all of this, I am going to expertise Margaret. I'm going to do it on my farm account. I'm going to maybe get some value over time. Okay, try to get some of the value from like the $20 bundle. I'll maybe try to get some of the value from the spending bundle. But I don't think I want to spend like $175 on my farm for extra Margaret sculptures especially. And I really thought about it. I was like, should I do this on my farm? Should I spend $175, that's probably like $35 a day, over the course of the 5 days on my farm in order to expertise this commander? And the only way I could justify that is if instead all these sculptures I'm saving, instead of putting them on, Margaret, I get her sculptures because I bought them, then I could go expertise some other commander and make a video about it. Like I could expertise Solomon and make a video about it. But I don't think a Solomon video is going to make back the money anyways. So I don't know. Maybe I'll spend on my farm. Maybe I won't. But the final piece of the puzzle, again, one more weirdness, if you are going to work on these commanders, is just to remember the following. If you want to work on them, you're going to need to get the patterns for the siege equipment. And the siege equipment at the legendary tier isn't even available yet in game. And at the epic tier, you can't use your blueprint choice chests. So you're going to have to get them from crystal keys and events. And hopefully you've been hoarding your crystal keys, which is something that I generally advise for moments just like this, which, for the record, I have 3,191 crystal keys. I am going to get all the siege equipment necessary. I'm going to talent it, hopefully, for, being engineering. I'm going to expertise these commanders, and we're going to run it in a practice match, and we'll do that together later this week. So if that's something you want to see, be sure to subscribe to the channel and throw a like on the video. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how good these ranged commanders are. And my game plan, for full transparency, is to skip ranged commanders entirely on my main account, to consider ranged commanders and maybe running a 6th March on my restart, but probably not. I would say there's like a 5% chance I go for it, and that's being generous. And that's because I already have 5 really killer open field marches with really great equipment, and I only intend to run 5 marches in general, so I just don't think I'm going to make another march and have it be ranged. And then on my farm, maybe I play on my main account and I have my farm account set up towers in relatively safe locations for some fights. Maybe. Maybe. And I think that could be powerful to have, you know, an extra march on another device while I play on PC that, you know, I retreat into a nearby city if things get messy. But I just don't know at this time until we do the testing to see whether or not Margaret and Bobber are actually worth the, you know, 1,400 gold sculptures or the dollars that it will take. So subscribe if you want to see what that looks like. I'll be streaming later today for some Bobber wheel spins. I'll do that on the main account, and I'll also probably do some more of this on the farm. On the main account, I'll probably just spin to 70 because I have no intention of ever maxing Bobber. I might just for memes go to 100 on the main account, but I mean, like, I might honestly get even more value from expertising Charlemagne than going for Bobber, and that's because of the way that support skills work. If you want to see the live streams that have been happening with 1960 and 365 to see exactly why I'm kind of thinking, like, I don't know what role Siege you're going to play and what role ranged combat's going to play, check out these videos. Cards will be in the end screen for just open field Kingsland battling, where maybe they would have got some value from setting up some siege units, but look at these real situations and see what you think.